ink drinkers, and welcome back to the Blind Girls Book Talk. I'm Belle.
My name is Aria, and this is the show in which we talk about different sorts of bookish content, like book reviews, what we like about books, what we don't like about books, what we wish could change. We also are going to be, doing some comparisons about, different books to their movies, some book theories, that kind of thing. So just a whole variety of different bookish content. And so today we are actually planning to go over Pride and Prejudice and its comparisons to its different movies and that sort of thing, which is better, which is worse. Now, I will say that, of course, Pride and Prejudice is one of my favorite books. However, because Belle loves the classics, she is the one who is going to be kind of taking the reins for the most part on this one, going over what the shows had gotten right, shows and movies had gotten right, what they didn't get right, that kind of thing, and just kind of our overall thoughts about it. So, Belle, out of all of the different versions of Pride and Prejudice that there are, what is your favorite?
My favorite would probably have to be the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice.
Okay. Why?
The actors do a great job of capturing who the characters are, and the directors do a good job of doing that. Also, for example, the actor who plays Mr. Darcy, as well as like how the director helped in portraying the character, really helped in showing how awkward that man actually is. And as a very awkward person myself, I always find great humor in just that.
Gotcha. So we'll start with that version then. So they got the awkwardness of Darcy right. What else did they get right in your eyes when it comes to that movie?
They also got just all the characters. Like, they really captured how weird Mr. Collins is. They really captured Mrs. Bennet's want for her daughters to be married, and her antics and her craziness, as well as Lady Catherine's just evil side. I think that's the best part of it all.
Okay, so they did a very good job of characters. Now, what could have been better, or what could have been changed in your opinion that could have made it a little bit better, a little bit more true to the book?
Setting wise for certain things. So I know like the biggest one is Mr. Darcy's first proposal, because in the book it is done when he visits Lizzie when she is at the home of Mr. Collins and Charlotte, and he comes and visits her and proposes then. But in the movie, it is done when pretty much they meet each other in the rain, which is now a very famous scene. It's just very inaccurate to how it is in the actual book.
Gotcha. So all in all, we would say probably, like, compared to, different adaptations of books to film, it's probably one of the higher stars, like probably like 5 stars when it comes to an adaptation that does it correctly. Would you agree with that?
I'd say it's probably about like 75 to 80% correct.
Okay.
But it is a remarkable adaptation, and I don't really think there are many people who would complain about it.
Gotcha. So then I guess that brings us to the next adaptation, which this is one that actually you haven't seen, which I don't know how you have not seen this. But that would be the BBC miniseries with Colin Firth. Unfortunately, he's the only one that I remember the name of because I'm very bad with names.
So am I, but I think everybody just knows that version as the version with Colin Firth.
Yeah. Now, this is one, though, that I have seen, and I've actually seen this one like twice. And
have you seen it and I haven't?
I don't know. This is this is the one thing where I'm a little bit floored by the fact that I have in fact seen this and you haven't. I kind of feel a little superior, not gonna lie. So when it comes to this version, there are some things that are not at all accurate, right? Like the famous, taking off the jacket and such and jumping into the lake for funsies. Like that's not in the book, right?
For funsies.
For funsies, yes. That is indeed what Colin Firth did. I know it's probably really like fan service or something, but no. He did it for funsies. But there are other things, though, that I do think, are pretty accurate to the book. Mrs. Bennet in that version for me is just kind of, hilarious. I feel like she's kind of like top tier cringe.
Jane Austen created cringe with Mrs. Bennet before cringe was actually a thing.
Yes, she did. She did indeed. And, Mrs. Bennet in this version is just, she is totally cringy. Wickham is, totally 100% scoundrel, as he, of course, for anybody who knows the books, is. I feel like Colin Firth did a very good job of, being Mr. Darcy. I think he channeled that very well, but he didn't have quite as much of the awkwardness as, unfortunately, I don't know his name, but the actor who did play Darcy in the 2005 version. He was definitely more of the kind of cold aristocrat version as opposed to
the awkward potato.
Yeah, the awkward potato of the 2005 version. But I mean, in this case, I think it worked. I think it worked very well in my humble opinion. Granted, I am not a film critic. I'm not, a book critic, a professional book critic. But I think that, it did, that went very well. Mr. Collins in this one also, still very awkward.
I think I've just seen clips, but I do know the clips of Mr. Collins in the BBC miniseries with Colin Firth is a lot more creepier.
Yeah, he does
so
have
creepy.
And like, to be fair, Mr. Collins is just this weird,
this creeper,
creepy character. Like he is just like I don't like him. Like, and I know you're not supposed to, Jane Austen really did create, a fantastic character with Mr. Collins in just being that guy that you don't want to be around at all. But, I feel like, maybe where 2005, he's kind of more of a bumbling idiot. Whereas in the BBC miniseries, he is just so like yuck. Like no, like just go back to Lady Catherine. Go back from whence you came. Please get out of here. The actress who played Elizabeth, she did, I think, a very good job of being kind of the headstrong version of Lizzie. The actress who played Jane, very, very sweet, very charming.
All the Bingleys very friendly.
Yes. Well, except for the female Bingleys.
Mr. Bingley.
Yes, Mr. Bingley was, kind of his normal puppy dog self. But I feel like it would be very hard to mess up Mr. Bingley. You know what I mean? Because he's such a party guy. That kind of thing.
There is a version that I have watched, and it is the 1980 BBC miniseries where the guy who plays Bingley just makes him so friendly that it's just awkward.
Okay, well, before we go into the 1980 series, because we will talk about that, but I do want to say, like, all in all, I feel like the BBC miniseries did a very, very good job of staying adapted to the book. In my opinion.
It got all the proposals right.
Yes, it did. It did get all the proposals right. It did get a lot more right than it got wrong. So I would say that probably, like, for me, it's probably my favorite of the adaptations that I've seen. And granted, I've only seen the 2005 and the BBC miniseries with Colin Firth.
You've also seen just part of the 1980.
Is that the one where I just said nope?
Yes, the one I made you watch.
Yes. So Belle had decided that one day we were going to watch this. She said you were going to watch this cringe fest. And we got like maybe 5 minutes in, and I said, I am not strong enough. I do not have the will. I cannot. And so that was the end of that. But honestly, for me, I would say, like, I highly recommend the BBC miniseries if you want something that's pretty darn close to accurate to the book, and you want something that's a little bit longer than probably like a 2-hour movie. The 2005 version is. If you want something that's a little more in depth and spread out, definitely do recommend the BBC miniseries. Now, let us go into the cringe fest that is the 1980 version.
Okay. I was gifted a whole set of Jane Austen 1980s movies, and the miniseries was in there. And oh boy, was I in for a train wreck. It wasn't that horrible for the time. Just watching it now I think I watched it in 2018. I won't even complain because I can't really complain on how bad the video quality was because
that gets better with time.
It gets better with time. I'm not going to complain about that, but just every character was so cringy. Darcy was more cringe than what he is.
Like not even just like a lovable awkward potato.
No.
He was just pure, just no.
Just no. The scenes with Miss Bennet, I actually had to get up and walk away from. I'm like, this is, like, I can't. Like, the cringe was so real. I'm like, I can't handle you. Bingley was so overly friendly that it was just so cringy because there'd be silence between where Darcy and Elizabeth would just be staring at each other. And I remember this scene specifically. It's when he comes to invite Elizabeth to dine with them at Pemberley, and he brings his sister, and Bingley comes, and, whole grand affair, let's go meet Elizabeth. And it's so awkward because there's a point where Darcy and Elizabeth are just staring at each other, which, fine and dandy, they do that most of the book.
Right.
But they were just staring at each other, and Georgiana is just standing there like, oh, look, the girl my brother loves is actually starting to like him back. But then Bingley interrupts, and he just makes it so overly friendly that it's just so cringy and awkward, and it's like, no, that's not who you are, Bingley.
Well, okay, so it sounds like this version, they just kind of totally I mean, like, is it accurate to the book? Like, all in all,
the plot line follows correctly. The settings are all correct. It's just the characters.
Okay.
Like, if you could take the 2005 actors and how they, portray in the character portrayals of that and combined it with the accuracy of the 1980 miniseries, you'd have the book.
Okay, gotcha. So not accurate characterized, but accurate setting-wise. However, in this case, I would say that means that this adaptation would be pretty much a fail, just because when it comes to adaptations, the characters really yes, the setting is important. like 100%, but at the same time, you're not there for the setting. You're there for the characters. The setting just kind of helps you to understand the story and the time and everything, in my opinion, anyway. Okay, so that one.
Oh my gosh, even Mary Bennet is cringy in that one.
But Mary Bennet, here's my thing about Mary Bennet. She is just a strange individual. Like,
yeah, I want
to like her. Like, I want to like her so badly just because she's supposedly kind of the shy, I care about my music.
She's the Bennet version of Darcy. Like, take Darcy and Georgiana, smash them in two, and you get Mary Bennet.
Yeah. Like, she is very much, she's very portrayed as being, book smart, wanting to just kind of read and focus on her music. And maybe she's like the struggling artist of the Bennet family.
Which fine. But like in the 1980 miniseries, there's a time when Mr. Bennet comes and pulls her away from the piano and she legit throws a hissy fit. And it's like, that is not the character.
Gosh. All right. Well, what other versions did we want to cover today?
Another version that I've watched is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. Now, it is a modern retelling, so granted things are a bit different because modern times versus the Regency era, but it stays pretty true. Now, I watched it on YouTube. That's where I was first introduced to it, and I spent one of my entire sick days whenever I was sick from high school just watching it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It stuck very true. All the people who played the characters, I feel, really captured what the characters were. Of course, the settings and everything else is a bit different because, it's kind of weird for someone who just met another person and not date, just propose marriage.
So, okay, so I will say that I have not watched this version, even though you keep saying that I need to, and I do agree, because I do love the retellings and everything, so I do feel like I would quite enjoy this. But kind of just for, kind of clarity to me and as for anyone else in the audience who hasn't heard of this version. So it's Pride and Prejudice in modern times.
Yes.
But like, how do, like, just kind of, just so I can understand a little bit better, like, how do they do the meeting of Elizabeth and Darcy?
So, how it actually goes down through on it's not really a movie, it's a web series. So, Lizzie Bennet is a grad student, and she's doing the video diaries for fun/class to get her degree in communications and all that type of thing. And so she just kind of talks through stuff. So instead of it being all the Bennet sisters, you only have Jane, Lizzie, and Lydia. And Mary Bennet doesn't exist, and Kitty Bennet is an actual cat.
Oh, okay. Now, and is it only her? Like, do you only get everything through her lens, or is it through, like, is there some through Darcy's lens? Is there some through...
You get to see the other characters because she'll be, like, filming, and they'll come in, or she'll, like, grab them and make them do costume theater with her to reenact scenes that she's been in with people and experiences and that type of thing. But it's a lot of you had to take her word. There are a couple episodes where Charlotte teams up with Jane and is like, no, Lizzie only sees what Lizzie wants to see, so we're gonna tell what actually happened and that type of thing. But you do get to see the other characters when they come in. So, like, their first meeting between Darcy and Elizabeth is they meet at a wedding. She catches the bouquet and he catches the garter. So they have to dance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, so then all in all then, this sounds to be, even though it's a retelling and a reimagining, it seems to, from what you're describing, it seems to be pretty accurate to the characters, to the original work.
It is really accurate, as accurate can be to be modern set, but it is, I highly recommend it.
Okay. Well, I do believe that's about all the time that we have for us today. I hope that you've enjoyed kind of our take on these different versions of Pride and Prejudice. You know, of course, if you have a favorite version that is one of the ones we covered, or something that we've somehow missed, please let us know. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a review, share this, with your friends, spread the word. Anybody who loves books and bookish content, pass it along to them. But that's about all for us today. My name is Aria.
And my name is Belle.
And we will see you next time, dear readers, when we are going to be talking about
how to get into the classics.
All right. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.